The Galactic Union was a sprawling network of species, cultures, and civilizations, each with its own customs, traditions, and ideals of beauty. For Princess Lira of the Zylothians, beauty was a curse. Zylothians were a petite, delicate species, standing no taller than 3 feet. Their skin shimmered like starlight, and their large, luminous eyes could see in the darkest voids of space. To humans they might have seemed ethereal like living porcelain dolls. But to the rest of the galaxy they were underwhelming. Lira was the youngest daughter of the Zylothian royal family, and her coming-of-age ceremony had been a disaster. The tradition was simple. Suitors from across the galaxy would present themselves, and Lira would choose a mate. But one by one, the suitors had rejected her. "Too small," grunted the Krogan warlord, his massive frame towering over her. "Too fragile," sneered the Valerian prince, his crystalline body glinting in the light. "Too insignificant," concluded the Zylothian ambassador, his tentacles writhing in disdain. By the end of the ceremony, Lira stood alone in the grand hall, her shimmering gown feeling heavier than a neutron star. Her father, King Zorith, sighed deeply. "Perhaps it is for the best, my daughter. The galaxy is vast, and not all are meant to find their match." But Lira refused to accept defeat. She had spent her life studying the cultures of the galaxy, learning their languages, their histories, their arts. She was more than her size, more than her fragility. She was a princess, and she would not be cast aside so easily. That was when she heard of the humans. Humans were a relatively new species to the Galactic Union, having only joined a few decades prior. They were different. While most species prized physical strength, technological prowess, or genetic purity, humans seemed to value something else entirely. They spoke of heart, of resilience, of the indomitable spirit. Lira was intrigued. She requested an audience with a human ambassador, a man named Captain Elias Grant. When Elias arrived on Zyloth, Lira was struck by his presence. He was tall, taller than any Zylothian, with warm brown eyes and a smile that seemed to light up the room. But it wasn't his appearance that captivated her. It was the way he looked at her. Not with pity, not with disdain, but with genuine curiosity and respect. "Princess Lira," he said, bowing slightly. "It's an honor to meet you." "The honor is mine, Captain Grant," Lira replied, her voice steady despite the flutter in her chest. "I have heard much about your species. Tell me, what do humans value most in a mate?" Elias chuckled, a rich, warm sound that made Lira's heart skip a beat. "Well, that's a big question. But I'd say it's kindness, courage, and a sense of humor. Looks matter, sure, but they're not everything. It's what's inside that counts." Lira tilted her head, her luminous eyes studying him. "And if I were to ask for your hand in marriage, what would you say?" Elias blinked, clearly taken aback. But then he smiled, that same warm, genuine smile. "I'd say I'm flattered. But marriage is a big commitment. I'd want to get to know you first, to see if we're compatible. That's how humans do things." Lira nodded, a spark of hope igniting within her. "Then let us begin." Over the next few weeks, Lira and Elias spent nearly every moment together. They walked through the shimmering gardens of the royal palace, discussing everything from Zylothian poetry to human music. They stargazed on the palace's highest tower, Elias pointing out the constellations of his homeworld. And they laughed. Oh, how they laughed. Lira had never met anyone who could make her laugh like Elias. His humor was irreverent, his wit sharp, and his stories endlessly entertaining. He told her of his adventures as a starship captain, of the strange and wonderful worlds he had visited, of the friends he had made along the way. And Elias, in turn, was captivated by Lira. She was intelligent, curious, and fiercely determined. She had a quiet strength that belied her delicate appearance, and a kindness that shone through in everything she did. She was, in his eyes, extraordinary. But not everyone was pleased with their growing bond. The Galactic Union was abuzz with gossip. A human, of all species, courting a Zylothian princess. It was unheard of. The Krogan warlord scoffed, the Valerian prince sneered, and the Zenthian ambassador declared it a travesty of nature. Even King Zorith was hesitant. "My daughter," he said one evening, "are you certain this is what you want? The humans are unpredictable. What if he breaks your heart?" Lira smiled softly. "Father, Elias has shown me more kindness and respect in a few weeks than all my suitors combined. He sees me for who I am, not for what I look like. Isn't that what matters?" King Zorith sighed but nodded. "Very well. If he makes you happy, then I will not stand in your way." The final test came during the Festival of Stars, a grand celebration held once every century. Representatives from every species in the Galactic Union gathered on Zyloth, their ships filling the sky like a sea of lights. It was during the festival that the Krogan warlord challenged Elias to a duel. "You dare to court the princess?" the warlord bellowed, his voice shaking the ground. "Prove your worth, human, or step aside." The crowd fell silent, all eyes turning to Elias. Lira's heart raced, but Elias simply smiled. "I don't need to prove my worth to you," he said calmly. "But if it'll make you feel better, I'll accept your challenge." The duel was a test of strength and skill, and the warlord was confident of his victory. But Elias was clever. He used the warlord's size against him, dodging his attacks and striking with precision. In the end, it was Elias who stood victorious, the warlord kneeling before him. The crowd erupted in cheers, and Lira rushed to Elias's side. "You were amazing," she exclaimed, her eyes shining with pride. Elias grinned. "I told you it's not about size. It's about heart." The festival ended with a grand ball, and it was there that Elias finally asked Lira the question she had been waiting for. "Princess Lira," he said, taking her hand in his, "I know we come from different worlds, but these past weeks have been the best of my life. You're kind, brave, and beautiful inside and out. Will you do me the honor of becoming my wife?" Tears filled Lyra's eyes as she nodded. "Yes, Elias. 1,000 times yes." The crowd erupted in applause, and even King Zorith smiled. As Elias and Lira danced beneath the starlit sky, it was clear to everyone that love knew no bounds. Not size, not species, not even the vastness of the galaxy. And so, the tiny alien princess, rejected by every alien male in the galaxy, found her match in the most unexpected of places, the heart of a human.